Welcome to our lecture for week 7, in which we're going to really interact with some materials this week. We're going to take a break and hopefully let you get caught up on case studies, but interact with chapter 3 from our law text, but also a documentary that you're going to watch. And this law and chapter 3 are important, and I'll get to the documentary later, but I'm hoping you saw the announcement. It's okay to sit back, relax, and watch this shorter lecture this week, and then dip into chapter 3 and the documentary. Chapter 3 is a really great summary of the law that really guides special education. It's IDEA, which we throw around a lot, which is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It was passed originally in 2004, and it was re-upped, I guess you say, with the Every Student Succeeds Act, which they frequently call ESSA, E-S-S-A, in 2015. It originally comes from the very famous public law, PL 94142, back in the early 70s, which was really the beginning of special education services for kids with disabilities, students with disabilities. You are going to see a wonderful documentary this week all about the birth of this law. So I purposely put these two together. I'm just going to give you a very brief outline of this law. I think the text does a really good job of it. I'm not going to try to redo it, but I want you to hear just a little bit about the law before you watch the documentary and then dive into the chapter. It might, for those of you that like to multitask, it might even be a good idea to have your chapter 3 open maybe while you watch the movie. It's a precursor. It's not a boring movie. In IDEA, I just wanted to highlight a few things. We've been learning about FAPE. We've learned about non-discriminatory evaluation. We've talked about parents, and we've really dug into the IEP. I broke it into parts first, but this is really the bones of the law that guarantee these things for students and families. Those didn't exist before PL 94142, and specifically IDEA in that statement on page 30, in which the purpose of IDEA is to ensure that all children with disabilities have available to them a free and appropriate public education that emphasizes special education and related services designed to meet their unique needs and prepare them for further education, employment, and independent living. To ensure the rights of the children with disabilities and parents of such children are protected, to assist states, localities, and educational service agencies and federal agencies to provide for the education of all children with disabilities. That's an all-encompassing statement that we are still pulling from today. I think page 30 and 40, where they list the educational disability categories, are really important, very good summaries of the law. But also on 30 and 31, but on page 32, it breaks out the structure of IDEA. IDEA is broken down into 4 parts, part A, B, C, and D. We really live in part B. That's the assistance for education of all children with disability, which includes provisions related to formula grants, it's money, funding, to assist states in providing FAPE and least restrictive environment for children disabilities age 3 to 21. In Michigan, it does extend to 26, and that's a conversation we'll get into later because we're one of the only states. But for the most part, for PK-12 education and young adult services, those post-secondary services, we live in Part B. Early childhood lives in Part C, and Parts A and D have more to do with the administration of special education. That is a very brief overview. I encourage you to look at those pages, 30, 31, and 32, while you watch our documentary, and then dive in a little bit more with me on the next couple of slides and kind of keep this as a reference. Chapter 3 does a great job of explaining IDEA.